YouTube. If you want to hang out some more, that's where I'll be. It does say I'm live, and I'm just going to go shut the window so I can hear myself think. And it was wonderful to hang out with you all, and I'll see you later. Bye. Bye. Boop. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Hit it. Hit it. Okay. All right. So, people showing up. People of Earth. People of Earth. I'm going to wait for somebody to come in. Joanne. Hey, Joanne and Christine. Can you see and hear me? If you just give me like a sign in the comments that you can see and hear me. I think my microphone's working. Okay, you can. Okay, perfect. You guys, I'm just going to shut my window. So if anybody comes in and is like, where's Beth? She's not there. I'm coming back in like 2 seconds, okay? Okay. So much better. So much better. You know what? And I was thinking about this. Maybe, feel free to whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if it was also kind of a menopause ADHD thing where I like quiet. I like calm and quiet so much more than chaos and noise. I don't know about you, but when I remind myself that I can do something about it as opposed to just complaining about it, it can help feel good to be like, I can change what bugs me. I can shut the window. Can I tell the guy to not mow his lawn? Probably not. But what I can do is I can shut the window. I can put on earbuds. I used to do that, actually. I often think of you, Erin, because I know you work in the corporate world. And I think about when I used to work in the corporate world, how I used to just put in my earbuds, or actually, I don't even know if it's earbuds. No, it was more like I had to wear a headset when I was doing like client calls and stuff. And sometimes I would just leave them on so I wouldn't hear the periphery. I know this was a long-term thing for me because I can totally remember once being in second grade and somebody saying to pay attention to stuff. Yeah. Anywho. Yes. Laura Gibbon Voorhees. That's why I reorganized my pots and pans. It's better. Maybe still more adjusting to do. So Laura realized how much she didn't like the rattling of the potlins and panlins. The rattling the pots and pans. The quiet. The putting the felt between the pans. Yes. I think because we live in such an overly stimulating world that our buffer between what we can ignore gets thinner as we get older, perhaps. Yes. Okay, that one persona has a great idea too that never kind of occurred to me. I'm more like that in a post-COVID world. Social distancing made me realize how much I appreciate quiet. Yeah. Okay, Wendy says when I worked in an office, I wore earplugs and noise-canceling headphones to drown out other people's talking so I could do my work with my own choice of noise. Okay, so we are all in good company here then, because that's how I have been. And yes, I joke about the fact that I married a man who makes noises for a living, a man who literally does things that people hear. And yet, boy, do I like quiet. Now, I like music too, don't get me wrong, but man, I am happy puttering around in a nice quiet home. And here's the thing I want to just introduce, an idea. Sometimes we use noise to distract ourselves, to disrupt the unwanted monologue of complaints that our heads have. That when our backseat drivers are talking, sometimes we don't feel like dealing with them again, so we just turn the radio up in the car to drown them out. But yet those things are still there. So just a thought. Yeah. Okay. So Laura says, yes, me too. Being a music teacher required me to breathe around sound all day. It always was nice to drive home with the radio off. Notice the and here's an interesting thing about this. Sometimes the absence of something can feel delightful. The absence of noise can have a calming effect on your nervous system Much like if you're decluttering, the absence of stuff in a room can have a nice quieting effect. So it can be a visual thing, but also an auditory thing. Now, Wendy says, I have had some head injuries that have caused me to no longer be able to handle certain noises in music. That's unfortunate to hear about the injuries. However, knowing that about yourself, notice how right then, if I was trying to ignore how I was feeling because I was afraid that you guys would judge me for getting up to shut the window, I may be sitting here having to use extra energy to ignore things when I could just shut the windows. But notice what we don't do for fear of being judged by somebody else. This is the great thing about this era of my life. I've kind of always been this way, but I've definitely turned up the saturation. And God bless that woman, I don't know her name, that started the We Do Not Care Club. Oh my God. I just don't care. And I say this in a good way. I am a very caring person, but I do not care for things that I used to think were important back in the day. Stuff that I bought, I'm like, meh. I don't get the same charge out of it that I used to. And that's okay. Another, I choose to believe is a great way to start a sentence with a kind of a positive spin on it. And a great way to end a sentence that may be a bit of a discouragement. You can end it with whatever I just said, because I was thinking the word yet, or and that's okay. I didn't take a shower between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m., and that's okay. Because I will take a shower somewhere between 1 and 2:30 because then I have to leave the house. Yeah. So Jay Lee says, so glad I'm on YouTube. Thank you. I like being on YouTube too. I like any of these things, frankly, if you think about it. It's a free platform that allows me to connect with people that it would be so much more difficult for me to kind of reach out, because many of us are in different states of the US and sometimes people are international. So I use the resources that are available to me to connect with people who may be struggling wherever they live, but they may not be surrounded by people who admit to have the same struggles, or perhaps they're one of those randos who don't. But I know the clutter world, the clutter in your head, the clutter in your heart, the clutter in your house. I live and breathe that world. But the neat thing is, I survive and thrive now more than ever because of the way that I interact differently with all those things. So I show up as hopefully a beacon of possibility and hope to say, if I can do it, so can you. I will never forget. It was a number of years ago. I want to say it was easily 3 years ago. Feels like forever ago and feels like yesterday. My mother, who'd been cluttered all her life and still continues to be, finally agreed that it might be beneficial or helpful for her to have some help. Well, ever go to the epicenter of everything in your life, which is the house you grew up in? Man. And I remember walking into that house. It was like 80 million degrees. I had just taken the train up from PA to Boston. I had gotten there, or maybe I'd driven, and the place was so chaotic. And I remembered going, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Because I was physically exhausted. My nervous system was overwhelmed. But I took a deep breath. I said, okay, here I am. What can I do? And I realized I could breathe in that environment, and I did not let it affect me until after. But I realized I could survive in that kind of environment and help people with it. So that's why I show up with you, because I'm used to this. Hello, Carla Jane. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So I'm here to show you and share with you the skills that I have kind of picked up along the way, that I've collected them, if you will. I've collected them. I've collected some skills, some tips and tricks, though I don't like calling them that, but it's a bit of an alliteration. Some tips. Hey, this worked for me. Maybe it will work for you. And a lot of it has to do with reconnecting up with this body and like where I am. It's not just living in my head, but saying, how do I feel physically? How do I feel physically physical? And how do I feel physically like nervousy systemy? And if I like how those two are feeling, I'm usually going to feel okay and do some good stuff after those. But if one of these is out of whack, then it really does affect what I do. And I choose to say, unlike days of yore, where people were like, suck it up, buttercup, and you got to get to the factory and all that type of stuff, um, is notice how you feel and you can do something to change it. If that means taking a nap and you have the ability, you have the flexible schedule to do so, do that. If you have, and you probably do, but you can. This is the one thing I wish, like the phrase, you can change something that bugs you in your life. If something bugs you, if you got a problem, you can say, yo, I'll solve it. Now, I show up like either the DJ or Vanilla Ice in that scenario to illustrate how you can change what bugs you. But people are always like, well, what about this? What about this one? Look at this one. Look at that one. That's why we start with clutter. But once you learn the strategy and the concepts behind it, which is pretty simple, but they're powerful, you can use that in other areas of your life. Okay? So that being said, I'm going to take a moment now to breathe deeply because I was talking for a while there. And I love seeing McDoug's showing up and Carla Jane and Laura Voorhees connecting. So kind of like I kicked off the previous TikTok live, I'm going to spend a minute getting that downloaded or the download process so I can upload it to the Destination Decluttered on YouTube. So when I do that, it gives you a moment to pause and reflect. And I ask you this. So a couple of things. It's 12:12. Interesting. Last hour, it was 11:11 when I asked the musical question. Where are you stuck in clutter? Notice I say, how can I help you? You may say, I don't even know how to help. But if you describe to me, where's your location? I can drive my little tow truck out to where you're stuck. And then once we see what's going on, then we can better diagnose how to help you. So where are you stuck today with clutter? Where is a geographic word? Where in your home, what one room could you use as an example of where you are stuck with clutter? And if you put that in the comments and give some extra details, please, the more details, the better. I am here to then know where you are. I can drive my little tow truck out and then you can explain to me the situation and together I can say, I can help you with that and we can get going. Okay. So think about that. I'm giving you a moment. I will be quiet. And I am going to just download this right here. Okay. Boop. How do I do this? Notice I'm quieting down. There we go. Okay. There we go. It's funny. It looked like one of my cheeks had like dirt on it. I don't know. Okay, Mama Koala. Bedroom, nowhere to put stuff. Okay. So notice two things about even just this one sentence. One is a location, and one is the possible where you're stuck is nowhere to put stuff. Since I'm a declutterer, I'm going to go a little step before that. And Mama Koala, since my wheelhouse is the declutter, let me ask you this. What is one of the categories of stuff? Stuff is too general. Name one category of stuff in your bedroom. I'm about to break it on down now. I am, Carla. Break it on down now. Okay. So what is one category? And notice, break it down. into smaller chunks. We use these words and we don't even realize them. Mama Koala, what is one category of stuff in your uh, bedroom that you don't have anywhere to put? You type it into the things. Yeah. And notice a couple of things, at least in a bedroom. And while you're typing, I will offer this. There are certain places we typically store items that are typical of a bedroom. So I am thinking, though I don't know what the specifics are of Mama Koala, that there may be a closet or two in the bedroom. Closets are storage. There may be, here's a fun thing, there may be a bureau, which is what we would call a dresser up in New England. There may be a chifforobe, which would be a portable closet in the bedroom. Okay. Yes, I wish I could spontaneously break into a decluttering rap. I mean, the closest I get is if you got a problem, no, I'll solve it. But I cannot rap. I can dance like you wouldn't believe. I love dancing, but I am not that elegant with my words. Okay, so Mama Koala, wonderful. Jewelry, out of room in a jewelry box. Now that's interesting because to me, typically, jewelry is takes up a small amount of room. But if jewelry in your bedroom, okay, out of room in the jewelry box. So notice this. Notice this, everybody. We just slow things down. There is a category of stuff. There's like a pile of jewelry here, and there is a container, jewelry box. And currently, all of the jewelry that is currently in the thing does not easily, and I use the word easily with emphasis, does not easily fit into the jewelry box. It's not easy to put it in there. It's not easy to find what you have, and it's probably not easy to take it out. So, to me, that indicates that that pile of jewelry could use a good sorting through. Now, sorting does not necessarily mean decision making and having to get rid of anything. So, Mama Koala, what you might want to do is what I just say kind of very diplomatically is take inventory, take stock. What do I have in stock in my jewelry? Okay? Because what you have is a quantity that doesn't fit into the container, right? The container is the jewelry box. Too much doesn't fit easily right now. So before you start going out, long before we ever decide on the container size, or even if we have one, I show up to help you chunk it down to make a decision. So notice within jewelry is very vague too, but there are categories. I bet there are earrings. There might be some bracelets. There might be some pins, and there might be some necklaces. 4 categories. So you take that and you chunk it down further. Here's my 4 things. Okay. So within those, that's when you get a little bit deeper and you say to yourself, do I even wear this? When is the last time I wore some of this? And that can be made a lot easier when you see it within the context of what you already own. Now, I know this about myself. I like how necklaces look on other people. I do not like how they look on me, with very few exceptions. But I am definitely a bracelet person. But even within my bracelets, there are some that I wear more often than others. Now, I have made a decision that I will practice making, that I will get in the habit of wearing not all of my jewelry at the same time, but I will cycle through them. So I have gone through and I wear what I like and I've practiced wearing it. But then I notice sometimes there are things that I just do not wear. And so then I will make a plan to wear it. And if I don't wear it, then maybe it means letting it go and finding a place that feels good to let it go. Does that help, Mama Koala, at all? Let me know. Put something in the comments to know whether I hit the mark or I kind of missed it. How does that make you feel? Like, what does that bring up with you? Okay. Because notice what we did. We got just more specific. So you can, instead of Bedroom, jewelry, doesn't fit in the jewelry box. Okay. And then you've got 4, containers, things. All right. All right. And yes, Kathy Emmert, you are so lucky. Are your lives recorded? Because I do better decluttering when listening to you. Yeah, completely. So one thing you'll notice, and it may be hard for you to see it right now because we're live, literally live on YouTube right now. It is what, Tuesday, October 7th, 12:20 p.m. Eastern. So we're live right now. As soon as 1 o'clock rolls around, I sign off in a couple things. You'll notice, actually, I can pull it up because I'm on my computer on a different tab here. There are right now 855 recordings of TikTok lives and YouTube lives on the Destination Decluttered YouTube channel. Later today, there will be 2 more because this one will be showing up on the, what did I call it? October 2025 live recordings playlist. And also I am in the process of downloading the TikTok live that I just did. So you do not need to worry about having options as far as what you listen to when you declutter. If it helps for you to listen to me when you declutter, you could do it for more than 2 years in a row and never repeat a recording. Think about that. If you just listen to one recording a day, 365 plus 365 is like 720 something. Over 2 years worth of never repeating. That's 7 days a week, 365. But please do not declutter 24/7, 365, or even 1 hour every day. Have some fun, take some breaks, get it done. But I'm here for you, okay? There's something else I was going to say about that. Oh, also, this is a really good reminder as well, is that after tomorrow's TikTok Live and YouTube Live, I will be off the digital grid until the declutter party on the 18th, okay? So that's when, remind yourself, you may be in the habit of wanting to tune into one of my lives. Well, we've got, as I say, 850 plus. You can do those. You can use those when I'm gone. And they're not as good as live, but they're damn close. Okay. So Mama Koala is coming back because we were talking about the jewelry, mindful of usage, right? So saying being mindful of what I actually do wear. Now, again, within this container, within these categories. So think about this. Within the categories of jewelry, but also more specifically, let's pick out bracelets, for example, because I'm more familiar with bracelets. So even within that category, you can divide those up into two categories where we talk about clutter. You've got surface, stored, and sentimental. Now, we don't really store the jewelry. I mean, we do store it. But what I want to think about the stuff that's like your kind of jewelry without a story versus your sentimental jewelry. Okay? The story of I bought it at Target. It went with that outfit that I used to wear at work. Oh, but it's the stuff that's not deep. Notice the things that have stories, but you're not wearing the jewelry. That's a little bit deeper. Okay? All right. All right. Yeah, so Carla Jane, I'm about to have to go, but I'm afraid I will forget. Beth, please remind me of my list about party ideas. Carla Jane, I already have your name written down here because I was going to look up something for you. I'm going to write down party ideas. Notice, Carla just offshored her remembering of that to me. I wrote it down and I'll write it down for her. Okay. I made a few notes. I love it. I want to ask you about it, please. Cool. I'll see you tomorrow, hon. Okay. So I will text you or I will email you today about that. But thank you for popping in. Always a pleasure. Okay. So back to, let's say, the jewelry. I think many of us, I don't know about you, but I have jewelry that has more of a sentimental attachment to it now than me actually wearing it. I can think of 2 pins and like easily 3 charm bracelets that I don't wear often. They're more sentimental that I wear on special occasions. But I don't want to get rid of them. And I do wear them. But sometimes, and especially in this era of being able to get so much stuff, you may have a lot of kind of costume jewelry that used to work for outfits you used to wear, but may not work for the life you have now. And that's okay. I know I used to have different jewelry that I wore when I worked in many other jobs. I had different jewelry that I wore in different eras of my life. And now I'm in the era of my life where, I mean, I'm showing up right here totally unwashed, whatever. But you know what? Call me part of the I do not care club. I don't have earrings in. They're over here. I could put them on, but I have maybe 5 pair of earrings, 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that I wear kind of in regular everyday rotation. And then I can think of 1 pair of earrings that tends to be like my fancy ones. Okay. Yes. And Colleen M., the best era. Oh, it's so freeing to not care about things that aren't worth caring about. I don't care if people judge me that I have no earrings on. Man, have I, and this has literally happened within the past 4 to 5 years. I left the house today wearing a pair of kind of orthopedic looking flip-flops that just a handful of years ago, I had a pair and I got them in pink because I thought they were so goofy looking, but man, they were comfortable. And I left the house today to go get my hair cut. And I was just like, I'll wear them. Like, I don't care. If you judge me because of my orthopedic flip-flops, you've just saved me the stress, like the effort of seeing if you're going to be a kind of person that I want to even spend time with, because I am more than my orthopedic flip-flops. And it was just so much easier. Even saying that, my whole insides just kind of relax and be like, oh, it's so great to not care about things that don't matter. No, caring about what other people think about you, it doesn't go away altogether, but man, it feels so much better to not give a shit about stuff that doesn't matter. Because there are things that matter. And if you know that you only have a limited amount of energy and time, you pull away your time and energy. You take back your time and energy to you. You don't give it to people who don't matter or things that don't matter. And then you spend your time and you spend your energy on the things and people that truly do matter to you. I will offer this to you that I thought was a great idea. Somebody I follow on TikTok, I think it's the knitting cult lady. She's great. And I thought this was so good because somebody said a comment, and I'm paraphrasing, but how can I be feeling like this is my best life when there's so much horror going on in the world? And she went into why she does it. But one of the things she left with was, I refuse to give the President of the United States power over how I feel on a daily basis. So do that with what you will. I agree with her 100%. But don't let the stuff in your house have the power to make you feel a certain way during the day. Take that power back from the stuff and give it back to you. I get to decide how I feel today. And I get to decide whether I'm going to choose to let these things that have been piled up here for 6 months make me feel bad because I show up as a decluttering life coach, but I've got stuff hidden and I'm not perfect yet. I'm a real person who's had real problems down the basement. And that's not metaphorical. That's literally the basement of my house. That finally, I believe, was it Friday? I think it was Friday. He left. I paid him. I don't believe he's coming back. So now that that's settled, then I can shift into moving some of those things back down the basement, the things that I decided to keep. Now, I've showed you guys enough all along the way to show you that I'm not perfect, because nobody is, but also that clutter is going to show up, and you can choose to let it make you feel miserable. You can choose to make peace with it, and you can choose to change it too. Because before I go, I will share with you my process for these boxes. I have had this idea for years. I thought I was going to do it when I turned 70, but why waste 10 years? So before I do that, I'm going to look at some of the boxes that are from like the first 10 years of my life, because they're the boxes of sentimental things I have, and they're sentimental things. So that's concentrated, much like we were talking about in the TikTok live about how the basement tends to be a concentration, like orange juice from concentrate. a concentration of decisions that have not been made. Sometimes you've made decisions about stuff and you've put them in the basement, but that was a decision you made 20 years ago, let's say. So when I was 39, 49, 59, when I was 39, so yeah, we've been in this house like 20 years. I made the decision to save some of those things in those boxes and put those boxes in the basement. 20-year ago me thought that the things that were in those boxes were important. Now, I'm not going in there thinking the things are not important or whatever. I'm just going to visit my stuff. Why wouldn't I want to look at it and just check, do I still want to keep that? And because I'm a decluttering person, I will ask myself, is there another better way for me to keep those memories than keeping all these pieces of paper? Now, some of the pieces of paper, I bet easily 5% of them, I may not remember what it was for. Or I may be like, oh, that's right, I went to that show, no big deal. There are other things where I maybe really want to keep them, and I can decide to keep them, and that's okay. I can also decide to write down the story, and that's okay. I can decide to take a picture of the paper, and that's okay. So there's many ways you can do it. So don't be afraid to even just visit your stuff and see what you have, and then allow the decisions to kind of unfold in an organic matter. So that's what I'm going to do with that stuff. And I'm actually technically, sincerely looking forward to it. I am. But there has been a time in my life where it didn't make sense to do it because things were chaotic. Doesn't make sense for me to start that right now because I leave for a trip in like 48 hours or something. And so, yeah, like literally 48 hours from now, somebody's picking me up to drive me to the airport, a friend of mine. If it wasn't a friend of mine, I would own that and say I paid somebody to do it. It's interesting that I added the friend of mine thing. Notice how I coach myself all the time. But when I get home from this trip, when I have time and space and quiet, it's something I look forward to getting into, and I've looked forward to it. So I want to make sure that my surfaces are clear for this. And the surface of my calendar has something to do with it too. So I hope that helps. Mama Koala, I hope you're doing okay with your jewelry. And anybody else who's struggling with clutter, if you tell me where you're struggling, what room, what category. So even that, a room and a category will get us 2 steps closer to starting with it. So I don't have to ask you about it. But you can ask yourself, what room, if Beth were here in my house, but she was only here for a half an hour, and then she had to leave, what room in the house would I say, here, let's work together here because I'm struggling on my own. Other things I can deal with on my own, no big deal. But if I'm paying you the big bucks to be in my house, here's the room I would drag you into and be like, what the frick do I do here? Okay. Now, Kathy Engelman is saying, I never thought about taking pictures of sentimental items. Okay. So I offered this to you, and then I'm going to get back to Mama Koala because I found something fascinating in what she just wrote. So because of the way that the technology is available to us right now, we will be increasing, yes, our digital clutter, but decreasing our physical clutter if we take pictures of stuff. But notice that the true reason you are keeping either the picture or the item is a visual trigger for a story you have about it. So remember, taking the picture is only just now a two-dimensional representation of the item. It may not capture the story. So when you are deciding it, also figure out who you want to share the story with, if anybody. Maybe it's just yourself. And you can choose to take a picture. This really helps with things that are bulky and big that take up a lot of room. Do you need the entire shiffer robe that was Grammy's to remind yourself that your Grammy had a shiffer robe? I don't know why I'm using shiffer robe all the time. I think because Carla was showing up and I was thinking of the South and I was thinking of To Kill a Mockingbird. And they talked about the shiffer robe. But if you take a picture of that, this was the bedroom suite that was my grandmother's, and I liked it for a while. And now I want to possibly see if my grandkids want it. You take a picture, you can share it with their parents and say, I would like to save this for the kiddos. Can we move it to your house? Now, Mama Koala, I'm going to lovingly call you on something because it's going to be the same thing. Notice how your brain offered when I said what category in the bedroom, you said jewelry. And when I asked about the jewelry, you said, I've run out of room in my closet. I have already sorted, but I still have more clothes, no hangers. That's not jewelry, is it? That's clothing. But the process is the same. So, Mama Koala, this is the same thing. A pile of clothes, a pile of stuff, and a container. Before we had a pile of jewelry that didn't fit in the jewelry box, and now we have a pile of clothes that doesn't currently fit into your closet. Okay? So what I ask for you though, I've sorted them. You've sorted it, but I still have more clothes and no hangers. Well, technically the easy thing to do is to avoid the hard thing, which would be to just go buy more hangers. But I'm not here to help you do the easy stuff because you can do that on your own. What I would ask you is, if you've sorted them, sorting is yes, sorting is a start. Have you made the conscious decision to decide to keep every single item in one category? Okay? So, Mama Koala, with one category of your clothes, much like I picked out bracelets, have you made the decision that, yes, this is something? So, for clothing, similar thing though. When's the last time I wore this? Does it fit? Do I like how it feels on my body? And Constance, I think that's a great idea. I love the fact that you think that taking pictures is a great idea. Rock on. When's the last time I wore this? If I put it on now, would it be comfortable? Why am I keeping this? Am I keeping this because of the money I spent on it? Have you then, after sorting things into 4 different piles, have you gone to that one pile and done the true decluttering, which is the deciding? Okay? Yeah. And Wendy is offering from her perspective, when I was dealing with clothing, says Wendy, I can't believe how much I had kept that I rarely, if ever, wore. I had so many, I hate this, why do I still have it moments. So notice, until that right there is the decluttering, noticing what you have and how you use it. Okay, so notice Mama Koala. See, now we're going a little bit deeper, and this is the good stuff. This is why you would pay me to be in your house to help you with this. So technically, I am in your house because I'm on your internet. Piles on hold onto hope to fit. So notice that is a subcategory of probably every category of your clothing. Your pants, your sweaters, your dresses, your blouses. There's probably a subset of stuff I don't currently fit into, but I hope to someday. Notice that, Mama Koala. What I recommend in those instances is this. This is where the functionality of your storage comes into play. Okay? Because notice your clothing in your closet your closet is not set up for you to easily find what you can wear, easily wear it, and easily hang it up again. And that's because you have stuff in there that you're not currently wearing because it doesn't fit. So it's getting in the way of you using your closet as an effective storage container for what you currently use. So, Mama Koala, there is absolutely nothing wrong. Everybody here, there's nothing wrong with having a container. Excuse me, what's the word I'm thinking of? Having a category of clothing that I don't currently fit into that I hope to someday. That would be the Dymo tape label that you're going to put on this container. Okay? So what I offer to everybody in that situation is this. Notice that. Subdivide your clothes into stuff that I don't fit into and hope to someday, and then put that in a different container. Do not put it in your closet. Do not hang it in your closet, because you put things on a hanger to make it easy for you to put those clothes from the hanger and then hang it on your body. But do this instead. Put it in a tote. Ideally a plastic tote, ideally a clear plastic tote. Then Label that tote and put the date on it as well. And then store that clothing somewhere else other than hanging in your closet. And then, if and when you do change the size of your body so that those clothes do fit on it, you will know where those clothes are. But you may also notice too that your body may not have changed and those clothes have been there for 5 years. So maybe it's a good idea to revisit the clothing and the idea of changing your body. Now, the weight loss journey, as Wendy says, so Wendy says, Mama Koala, oh gosh, I feel that so much. I'm on a weight loss journey myself. I had many items I hoped to fit into. Notice the past tense. But I still gave them away. I thought I would enjoy buying updated small sizes. That's me right here. Yeah, I gave away some clothes that I liked because for years it didn't fit. I'm on that exact same journey. Total disclosure, GLP-1. I now can buy smaller clothes that are updated. And I find that idea fun, as opposed to fitting into clothes that I maybe didn't fit into in the past 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 years. So just notice, I hope to fit into it. Cool. Notice the hope and kind of yes, and yes, you have the hope, and then do something to change your body. But also, don't let the person you hope to be also get in the way of who you currently are. Sometimes we will keep stuff hanging up thinking it will inspire us to get into that smaller size. Oftentimes, it has the opposite effect. It makes us feel bad that we go to grab it and it's like, oh shit, you're right. I can't fit into that. My ass is too big. Oh, that feels uncomfortable that I put it on it because I can't, I've got gaposis, my buttons don't easily button. I'm not saying get rid of the hope. What I'm saying is put the stuff somewhere so that if and when you do change, you just know where it is and it's not getting in the way of you easily being able to use your storage. Because here is the definition to me of storage. So when I talk about efficient storage, good, easy storage, is wherever you store something, whether it's a closet or a bureau or cabinets in your kitchen or your basement, it should do the following three things. It should be easy for you to find something you look for, easy to use it because it works well, and easy to put it away when you're done using it. So think about that in your closet. You go into your closet and everything that currently doesn't fit is stored somewhere else. And you know that whatever you put your hand on is going to fit. It's going to feel good. Makes it easy to get dressed, easy to wear it. And then when you take it off and you clean it and you go to put it away, you have the right amount of hangers and you have the right amount of breathing space to hang it easily back up. Easy, easy, easy. Easy to find it, easy to use it, easy to put it away. And that's the definition of good storage. Yeah. There we go. Yes. And Wendy, you're not the only one who's realizing. So Wendy says, yeah, thank you for all your support and help. Of course, hon. This is the reason I do this. Can you imagine me coming up here and just judging people? Oh my God, how freaking unpleasant would that be for me and for everybody else? I am not a tough love kind of person. I'm a love kind of person. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Because tough love doesn't work for me. Tough love makes me feel like I'm getting beat up. I'm a sensitive individual. And I know I'm not the only sensitive individual. And that doesn't mean that I grow a thicker skin. It means that I need a softer touch. So Wendy says, yes, I had things I thought would motivate me, but truly they were mocking me. But I had a mental health journey to navigate along with my declutter journey. Yes. And the declutter journey is a mental health journey. It really is. Because notice, the clothing itself was not mocking you. I mean, if it was literally growing mouths and saying stuff, that'd be trippy. It was you mocking you, which is kind of hard. We all do it. Many of us do it, not all. But yeah, it is a journey to the center of the earth. And there we go. Kathy Emmert has been on this journey too. So see, Mama Koala, you're not alone. I've done it. Wendy's done it. Kathy says, I kept one dress that I hoped to fit into. Then when I lost 60 pounds, years later, I was elated to fit into it. I wore it, and then I was able to decide when it was time to go. Yeah, I have a dress like that. Luckily, I hope there's a picture of me wearing it at some point. I think there are. And the funny thing is that even though it fit on my body, the last time it fit on my body was snug. And I didn't think I'd ever lost weight. So I did give it away, but I gave it one last hurrah. And even when I was wearing it, I realize right now that it's just not about the size of my body. It's about the condition of my skin. It's about what I'm comfortable wearing. I like dresses that are slightly longer now because my knees are wrinkly. I have cellulite that is growing underneath my arms. So perhaps I like something with a sleeve versus whatever, because I don't like seeing my body in a state of decay. Sometimes I like it that it fits, but then I'm ready to let it go. But it's a journey. I mean, that's why I talk about decluttering as being a journey and a road trip, is seeing who you were, seeing who you are, and seeing who you want to be. It's like the past, the present, and the future. And this is the great thing. You can do whatever you want. I just show up to remind you that if you have a destination, there are decisions you can make and there are things you can do that are going to get you there sooner. And really, there is a feeling of okay, of good. I don't need to be anything else. I just need to be me, and I'm going to love me. Now, I say that, but I also am on a weight loss journey. But my weight loss journey right now for me is less about what other people see and more what I see, and more from the inside out. How do I feel? How do I feel? Because I felt physically uncomfortable in my body when I gained weight. And I felt frustrated when what I used to do to lose weight wasn't working. I feel so much better in my body, and I don't care what other people think. But I really am psyched about what happened to me. So I offer to you, we're all on a journey. So it's okay. It's okay. All righty. So we've got 12 minutes left. What else can I tell you? Tomorrow is Wednesday, October 8th. We've got an 8 a.m. and an 8 p.m. I decided, even though I'm leaving the next day for my trip, that I would do an evening TikTok live because people like those. Notice how I say I tend to do them. It's not my first choice, but I know how much people like them. So I do one a week thereabouts, and an 8 a.m. TikTok live. Then we've got Saturday 18th is a 12 p.m. declutter party. We've got 2 more declutter parties. Do you say where I'm seeing all this stuff? Is I'm looking at the secret page myself. October 18th, 20th, and 24th are declutter parties. I should probably send an email out to everybody to remind people I'm going to be away. Send email to club, to group. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And Laura Voorhees, she says, that's me right now. I had the bin that I sized down to, but then something happened. And if life isn't happening, you know what's happening is death. Then my father passed away and my eating went to crap. Yeah. I fell back on habits that I thought would make me feel better, which would be to eat whatever your eating habits are that got you to gain weight. All of it's okay. My husband left last night. I didn't feel like cooking. He's so much more the cook. I made myself some pasta with butter on it and I ate it. I wasn't hungry anymore. It worked for me. When I feel bad, I will immediately go to comfort foods. I mean, they don't call it comfort foods for nothing. And at a certain point, feeling better is better than feeling long-term, oh, this isn't good for my cholesterol. You know? So we all do it, hon. It's all good. And I'm sorry to hear about your dad. Now, Kathy is saying, where do I get rid of electronics like computers? So here's a great thing, Kathy. I don't know what state of the union you live in, but I will offer that the answer to that question varies depending upon where you live. So I would copy that exact question you have. I would paste it into Google, and then I would put near and whatever state you're in. I mean, no, near whatever town you're in. Okay. Where do I get rid of electronics, computers, New Mexico? Put that in Google, then you'll be able to know it. Because here's the thing, I'm in Pennsylvania. Our stuff is set up differently than yours. I will just share with you. I will reassure you that there is a place that you can put that stuff that's going to make you feel better about where you put it. Now, sometimes people say places like Best Buy, but I would highly recommend just that exact same phrase is something that you're going to find a better, more specific answer to you. And Google is going to be your friend on that one. Okay. But there are places where you can bring them to recycle them. There may be an like where I'm from, where I live right now. I know that people have dropped things off at Best Buy, that sometimes the local county or the township or the borough or the village or wherever sometimes has like an electronics recycling thing where we have brought stuff over and they've put it somewhere and then they crush it up or they do something with it. There is a place that you can get rid of them. Ask the Google, you will receive. Okay. It's okay, Laura Voorhees. Laura says, his death was a year ago and I gained everything I lost back. It's okay because you know what? You know you lost it before. You can lose it again if you choose to. Just give yourself grace. Understand why you did it. And when you're feeling better, you can do better. And it doesn't have to be all at once. My dad, so I literally have a text on a text thread with my mother and my sister because the 15-year anniversary of my dad dying is coming up in just a few weeks. And I felt horrible for the first many months and years when he felt bad. And now it's just, I feel better and I can do better. So don't beat yourself up. Understand how you got there. Yep, this is how I'm here. And then decide how long you want to stay there. I guess that's the only thing I will say as a caveat from my own life. I look back on times of my life where I get why I was where I was, but I was too afraid to do anything different. And so I just say, notice where you are, how you got there, and then the sooner you can change even a tiny little thing to change the direction of where you're going, I bet the better you'll feel. Okay, Laura? Now, that being said, too, Laura is also offering the school bus the school where I used to teach had an electronics fill the bus roundup, and they got money for this stuff. Wendy says, my town, our city service bill will send out notices of free e-waste events. We usually drop off TVs and printers. So notice it varies from where you live. The neat thing is that currently we still have places that are doing good stuff, that not everything's going into a landfill, and that you can feel okay. You can feel good about the way in which you are letting go of things. All right. So yay for that. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we've got about 6 minutes left here. So let's we've been in the deep end of the pool. So knowing that we're going to get out of the pool in about 6 minutes, let's start to swim over more to the shallow end. Okay. We can get deep, but this is the neat thing about kind of swimming. And I'm not a great swimmer, but knowing how to swim and practicing it means you have access to the entire pool. So knowing how to declutter and not just being afraid to go deep means that you can declutter on the surface, you can declutter in the stored, and you can declutter in the sentimental, and you can bop through, you can go from depth to depth. Oh, here was a cool idea I wanted to share with you. So I'm glad I said the word depth because I literally was on my morning walk this morning and I'm looking up my notes to self because I walk and I talk notes to myself. This was a way I was feeling earlier. and I'm just looking to see because I am easily affected also by the weather. I was feeling buoyant. I was feeling like it was warm outside, and I know the warmth is not going to last, so I'm going to savor it. And I was walking down the street and I was doing this and I was noticing the sun and good things were happening. I had had a good haircut with my guy. I had texted my husband. Good things were happening. And in the idea of words that can make you feel a certain way, I was feeling kind of like a little balloon, kind of bopping along on the surface, kind of floating along on the surface, like a little boat, like a little inner tube. I'm there on my little, like, blow up unicorn in the pool. And then I thought, what's the opposite of buoyant? Buoyant, kind of floating around and kind of, you're not stuck. And I thought of weighed down, anchored, weighed down and heavy, sinking. And so I offer to you that if you're feeling anchored and stuck and weighed down and heavy because of your stuff, every time an ounce, an item, a pound, a box, things like that go and you don't regain it, you don't add more, you will begin to notice how good it can feel to feel lighter, less weighed down, more buoyant, where you're kind of floating along. And yeah, things may not be all like secure and whatever, but you can float along and you know that you can survive under those circumstances. That you can, even if you're buoyant, you can navigate over to the safety of the shore. But you can also, knowing when you know how to navigate the decluttering, you can get out into the deep end and get back to the shore. So don't be afraid of that. All right. So think of that word buoyant. I give it to you, and it's spelled kind of interestingly, right? Because it says Buoy, like a buoy, like not David Bowie, but like, floating along there. And sometimes they're anchored, and that's okay. But you can have an anchor, and you can be buoyant. And the thread, let's even run that. If you've got an anchor, it depends on how long you're there. You can happily have an anchor so you don't float away, but the rope can be as long as you want, knowing that you can always go back to the safety of the shore and the safety and the feeling okay of the shallow end of the pool. Okay? So just know, if you're feeling weighed down, buoyancy also exists. And it's a journey, but it starts with an ounce. Think about that, being weighed down in a heavy boat, a little bit off the edge, a little bit off the edge, a little bit donated here, a little bit given here, a little bit put into the recycling thing here, something got sold over here. Much like weight loss, every little bit helps. And it's not a matter of perfection. It's just showing up and doing a little bit of something a little bit different today, and then experimenting with it tomorrow. And then let's say the third day you don't do it, but then you don't beat yourself up. You just get up the fourth day and you start again. It's that kind of slow and steady wins the race on so many things. Okay? Yeah, there we go. I love this. Laura Voorhees says, you're talking about swimming, and I envisioned a happy yellow lab jumping in and out of the water and shaking the water out. Yeah, because it doesn't want to be weighed down like that. It wants to shake it off and be light and fluffy and cute and adorable and huggable like we all are. So, yeah, play in the water. Don't be afraid. The only thing you should be afraid of is getting in over your head when you don't know how to swim. But I'm here to teach you how to float and how to swim. And a lot of that is also relaxing and breathing deeply and knowing that you're being held up by an invisible force known as the water. That you are buoyant. Even when you're feeling heavy, you have buoyancy that is just temporarily you're being weighed down by other things, but you are a buoyant creature. Okay? So let's go float along on the surface of the rest of today. All right? I think the buoyant creatures we are. And I will see many of you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. TikTok live. Sound good? 8 p.m. YouTube live, and then adventures. All right. Always good to hang out with you all. I am going to do a couple of things here to make sure. There we go. Whoops, wrong direction. I got to find the thing. And this will be on the Destination Decluttered October playlist. And I will be downloading the TikTok live and adding that one this afternoon too. Okay. Always a pleasure. Go bounce around and be buoyant. Bye.